My name is Saviksha.
My name is Poppy.
It's me, your favorite queen, Francesca Dynamite.
We are Lavender Club, and you're watching Queer in Alberta.
Welcome to the first episode of Queer in Alberta for Season 2 with TELUS STORYHIve. My name is Kelsey, but you can call me Kels. I am a queer Filipino-Canadian, and I use she, her pronouns. And this series is filmed right here in the city of Lethbridge, Alberta, which is on Treaty 7 territory, home of the Blackfoot Confederacy, as well as the Métis Nation Region Number 3 of Alberta. Today, to start off the series, we are joined by none other than Lavender Club YYC. We've got them here in the house today, and I'm going to pass it over to them. Can we have an intro from you lovely, lovely folks?
So we are Lavender Club. My name is Bellamy. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm one of the co-founders.
I am Amanda. I use she, he, they pronouns, and I am also one of the co-founders. And off to the side here, we have Jasmine, who is also one of our co-founders, she, her pronouns. She's got a bit of a cough right now, so yes.
On the sidelines, still a superstar. We give a wave to Jasmine. There we go. Awesome. Well, I am just so excited to have you three here with me today. And you came all the way from Calgary. The drive was okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. We just had a winter snowstorm in the middle of October, which is pretty prairie central, I would think. But Lavender Club, YYC, I've heard of you. Lots of people in Southern Alberta have heard of you. But for audiences who are maybe meeting you for the first time, what do you guys do?
So we are a community group, a grassroots organization that creates opportunities for Saphics, lesbians, and the two-spirit LGBTQIA plus community at large in Calgary to connect through events that are focused on our creative endeavors and fun, simple activities.
And something else that I think really stands out about Lavender Club is that all of your events are sober focused. Can you maybe talk a little bit about why that's important for queer events in Calgary?
I want to start by saying that the history of gay bars is so important. But just in the year of 2023, so many events are centered around drinking, which just makes them so inaccessible to so many people.
So yeah, we just wanted to create opportunities for people in our community to come together and get to know each other without having to specifically center that around alcohol or nighttime activities, just because, like Bellamy said, our events are oftentimes open to younger audiences or, queer families or people that may not want to be around alcohol for a variety of reasons. So it was really important for us to just create that space that it's not necessarily morally better. It's just something that was not there. There was a gap, and we decided to fill it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that it's not even just a gap in Calgary or in Alberta. This is something that you see within queer communities, I think, all over the world, especially in North America, where, again, there's this idea of queer spaces only being in the bars or in late night or alcohol spaces. So I think it definitely meets a need. And especially when you speak to younger queer people, I think that's really important for them too, because if you can't be of the age to go and meet other queer folks, you might feel really, really alone. Do you find you have a lot of young people coming to your events?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I personally had a good experience when I was in high school and such, that I was actually part of my GSA, and a lot of my friends were part of the community, and those who were not would just, still be great allies and come hang out with us, and it was pretty chill. But I know that's not the experience for everybody, and certainly not nowadays. Going forward in time doesn't necessarily mean that we're progressing as a society, unfortunately. So we do get a lot of young creators and their friends and people who come and check our events out. And I'm like, oh, you are but a child. But it's great to see them there. Yeah, because they're like, oh, this is so cool. This feels great that I have a space to be here. And
At our markets, we have parents bring their young children to see the vendors, and I think it's a lot of their first experiences with the queer community. So
I think that's so good and so important. And when you're talking about GSAs too, releasing this kind of work, talking about queer stories on the prairies in today's socio-political climate, it's almost I don't know, I just had a moment when you said that because it shows how important it is that we have those resources and you folks are just building more for the community outside of schools. I think it's fantastic. But I am curious, you three are all from Calgary?
I moved to Calgary from Aotearoa, New Zealand when I
Okay.
was 15.
Wow.
So dropped my accent immediately.
I see. So that's different. How was it coming to Calgary from New Zealand? Pretty different, I would imagine.
It's actually really interesting because like a lot of people think New Zealand is very open and accepting, which it is for sure. But in high school, I knew one queer kid, and then I moved here, and so
Wow.
many people were in year 10, openly queer, openly just themselves, whether that was queer or not. And I came out immediately after moving here, but I was in the closet when I lived in
Mm.
New Zealand. So
Wow. So it's been like kind of a really open space for you to kind of explore your identity versus where you were coming from before.
yeah, I find it really interesting. Just like it's the opposite of what a lot of people would expect, and I know I'm very
Yes.
privileged for that, but it was definitely a good thing for me.
And what about you?
I'm actually from Venezuela, and I moved here when I was 14. So yeah, I mean, it's not like I grew up in a pretty small town. Like I'm not from the capital or anything like that, and my parents are from different places in the country too. And it's not like I never knew other gay people. But it was like there were like two gay guys in my school, and everybody knew who they were,
Right.
and that was the end of that. So I mean, I don't know if for similar reasons or maybe differently, but I kind of had a similar experience where, like, for me, I didn't even consider being LGBT something that was for me. Because of other reasons too, like, in the family and stuff. Like, I was just like, oh, that's not me. Like, I am a very normal person, normal,
Yeah.
quote unquote.
Yeah.
And then I moved here, and like literally within like 3 months, I had
Gay.
Yeah, I moved in the summer, so I had a lot of time to self-reflect as I was lonely and emo about my situation. And then I was like, wait, I'm being gay? Question mark.
Kind of hot.
and then I was like, yeah, sure. So
I
yeah.
love that. So coming to Canada for both of you was like really helpful and maybe coming to terms with your identity in respect to your different queer journeys.
Yeah, I would definitely say it was.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah,
wild.
like being in a new space was
Yeah.
just kind of like, wait a second.
You get to reinvent yourself,
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, even it's such a smaller migration pathway, but even me moving from small town, northern Alberta, down here, when you're in a new place where no one knows you, you can really confront those questions. But I think one thing that really stands out to me about these stories is there's this idea that Alberta is so conservative and like queer people can't thrive here. But you're telling me that for both of you, coming to Alberta was part of like this integral piece of why you thrived as queer people.
Yeah, I mean, queer people have always been here,
Yes.
Like, we're here, we're living, we're fighting against the hate that is here, and we're surviving. More than surviving, we're thriving.
There we go, thriving. And I think you'd say
Yes.
the same, hey?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, thinking about Lavender Club and asking about your origins with being in Calgary and all these stories, how did the three of you meet and then decide that this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I started a book club. I was trying to remember the date. Sometime summerish 2022, I started a book club. It's called Violet's Book Club. It's Sapphic specifically, just because I was kind of lonely and I wanted more Sapphic friends. So I advertised on like TikTok, like Instagram. I got shared by some like bigger accounts. And Amanda found me through a tattoo studio sharing the post, and came to the very first meeting. And we immediately hit it off. And then Amanda came to me and said, hey, I have some friends who have a vintage shop. I really want to hold a Sapphic movie night. Can I advertise through book club? And I was like, yes, but you have to let me help because I'm obsessed. So we held this movie night and had a meeting afterwards, and we were like, that was really cool. That was really good. Like, we should do that again. And obviously Jasmine was involved in that the whole time.
Yeah. So I don't even know. Like, it's one of those things that just kind of like happens randomly. I want it to be like astrologically, but I will not begin that conversation here. But yeah, I don't even like, I've always been somebody who is involved in a lot of community things and volunteer things, just because like after my emo moment of coming to Canada and being
I
like,
love it.
who am I was like, hey, like, let me do things to find out and meet people. And yeah, I was like, I don't think I came to Bellamy with the movie night idea, just immediately thinking like, and then down the future we were gonna be this and that. Like it just came about very organically. So that was great.
Yeah, and even like in conversation with all of you before, whenever you tell this story of how Lavender Club came to be, I'm always reminded of how what we're doing today started with Queer in Alberta. It was the same thing, like making little TikToks, not even specifically about talking to queer folks, but just about my own experiences and seeing it reach a bigger audience and what resonated, what didn't, and feeling this gap of like, there's something we need to be doing about telling our stories. And so, where you've been creating spaces for Sapphic events, that's what I've been doing. So I just love it. Kudos to
you're
you.
doing a great
Give each other
job.
kudos.
Come on,
Kudos for
man.
all of us.
Yeah, I think so. And we've got a bunch of your event posters here, actually. And there's a few that you wanted to highlight. I think, is this the movie night that you were
This was
speaking
the very
about?
first movie night. This
Yeah,
was
maybe.
before
Should
we
I
were
hold it
Lavender
up?
Club.
Yeah. Look at that.
Let's go down memory lane. This is the first
The
event
year
that
was
we ever held.
1930.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, I should give him a shout out. My friends opened Boo Vintage Shop in Calgary, and it's
Awesome.
an old historical building in Chinatown, and it has a screen. So that's why I was like, wait, there's a screen here. What if? Because one of the people that opened it was like, it would be cool to do movies. And I was like, it would be if they were gay.
I mean, you got to add it in, a little sprinkle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, how many people came to that first event? Did you have any idea how many would be arriving?
We did do like a Google form to like kind of organize it and stuff. Like I said, this ain't my first rodeo. I've done some other organizational things and such. So I was like, okay, we need to like get our numbers straight and figure things out just for organizational purposes. So we had a lot of interest in it. If I remember correctly, like we could even look this up, but at least like 40 or so people signed up.
Wow.
And it ended up being, there's always some dropouts and stuff, but it ended up being like about like a good 25 to 30 people. Yeah.
For a first event, though, that's so good.
Yeah.
Probably with like not a huge amount of promotion either.
At this point, we were advertising through our personal Instagrams.
Wow.
And through the book club Discord, and like I think a couple posters around town.
And, you know, hearing you say that again, it's so wild to now reflect, like, look at how much growth you've had in what, it's been a year or so?
Yeah.
Just over a year.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Happy birthday to Lavender Club.
Yay.
100%. Yeah. And then we have a couple other posters here from some key events. Memory Lane.
Yeah. So we have done quite a few movie nights, but I'd say our biggest movie night we did was a screening of Forbidden Love, The Unashamed Stories of Lesbian Lives.
Oh.
We were sponsored by the Community-Based Research Center. So we were able to hold this at the Globe, which is like a local big movie theater in Calgary. We had an ASL interpreted panel with some local lesbian / Sapphic elders in the city. And we probably had about 100 guests, maybe more.
Yeah. I saw videos and photos from this event. It looked so good. I think Cece was there for this one.
Yeah, Cece was one of our.
Chow, yes.
Yeah, this was a really important event for us because it was the first time that another organization partnered with us. So that was the Community-Based Research Center, which is something that, again, kind of like how we began, like we didn't even think that far ahead as to what we would become. And then when this happened, we were like, we never even thought that other groups or organizations or anybody would be interested in doing something with us. So with their support, we had the opportunity to do this really cool event that connected elders in our community with us young people and everybody in between, and have that space to have conversations about our lives and the things that we've faced in the past and nowadays, and make it accessible too, which is another really important thing for us.
Yeah, and I work a lot in Canadian heritage and museums, so I have feelings about why it's important to remember the past and learn from it. But you speaking about having queer elders, specifically your Sapphic elders in Calgary, and that dialogue between younger communities, why was that something important that you wanted to highlight at this event?
That was important to us because similarly, though none of us really have worked directly with like heritage materials or the heritage sector or anything like that, it's important for all three of us to like maintain that connection with our elders, and we in different ways, like I know sometimes more culturally and sometimes more, I guess, within queer culture, we have that
Chosen
that
family?
respect for our elders, yeah,
Mhm.
and knowing that they brought us up and paved the way, and um you know, did things that allowed us to be doing all of this today, like
Mhm.
you know, know your history basically, and specifically as well, know your history with regards to which elders did that. Like it was people of color, Black
Yes.
people and Indigenous people within the community that really paved the way for us. So that's something that has always been at the forefront of our minds, and we took the opportunity as it came. Like it was something that we were already thinking, and then, you know,
Mhm.
through serendipity, we had the means and got really excited about that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Forbidden Love was something I'd wanted to do for a while, but we just didn't have the means until, some
Mhm.
money.
Some money. I mean, it's true. It's the underlying factor. But part of why I asked you that is because I believe that to know where you are going, you need to understand where you have been. And
Yes.
there is power in knowing your history. And like when you talk about it, even beyond queerness, like I think about my ancestors in the Philippines and everything they underwent with Spanish colonialism is like strength and endurance that brought me here to today. So that's a much bigger thing to talk about. But essentially, it's just there is so much strength in knowing your history and also in claiming the history. And when you're talking about POCs, because often you look at history and it's very whitewashed. So being able to amplify and target who has contributed what, there's power in that too.
For sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. So the reception has been fantastic to Lavender Club.
Blown away.
Yeah. What's been maybe some like key moments that have really stood out to you as like, wow, we're doing something really big, really special, it just really sat with you?
Really, I think that moment for me was movie night, like the Forbidden
Mhm.
Love. Up until then, I was like, oh, people are just, we're gonna die down. It's fine, like
Mm.
whatever. But no, like people showed up and they loved it, and we got so many messages of support,
Mhm.
like DMs in person, like everything. People were like, keep doing what you're doing. Like that was amazing. That was a really important event, and it just like really stuck with me.
Yeah. What about you?
Definitely similarly, like I would say people that I admire within our community, elders or just even people that are older than us, and also other grassroots organization in Calgary noticing us and saying like, hey, I see you and I see what you're doing and I think it's awesome.
Mhm.
That was really what's the word I'm looking for?
Affirming.
Yeah, that was really affirming. Thank you.
I like that little
Yeah,
aside.
it was really affirming to have those people that I admire say, "Hey, I see you," because it does take a lot of effort and sometimes it's a struggle.
Totally. No,
Yes.
absolutely. And like when you talk about that, it reminds me of what you once said to me about Lavender Club being special is witnessing each other.
hmm
Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I can expand on that. So for us, it was really important as we kept going to keep that in mind that we want our events to be like no matter how big or small,
Mm-hmm.
we want them to be situations in which people feel actually seen, and it's not just like, oh, you were ticking these boxes, like great photo op moment, like, and
Yes.
also bye after that, like be
Mm-hmm.
gone. No, like
Extractive who?
yeah, it's like you were this and that, great.
Mm-hmm.
No, like we're really wanting to create moments in which people leave our events or come to our events and say like, wow, I feel really like
Mm-hmm.
seen, in the sense that like you see the things that I go through, you see who I am, and you understand that, you know, you relate in these ways, or maybe not entirely, but you're still seeing it and acknowledging it, and there's space for me here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important, because otherwise, who are you building community for?
Oh, that's deep. That's really deep. Everybody pause and let that sink in for a second. But like I was going to say, I think the intention is so good and it carries through in everything you do. And I say that as someone who's like not from Calgary. I haven't been to all of your events, but in the ones I have attended, it's always felt like a very safe and respectful environment that's open to everybody. And one thing I've always noticed about you is you always post like little, we want your anonymous feedback. If there's something we can do better, you're so open to that not criticism but that dialogue that so many organizations doing this kind of work simply don't. So
Yeah, we are very open to feedback. We'll,
Mhm.
of course, take someone if someone wants to be so bold as to email us. We love that.
Mhm.
But we do have that anonymous feedback form for anyone who maybe wants to stay on the sidelines. They're like, hey, I'm a little uncomfortable, or I loved your event, but I don't really want to share who I am.
Yes.
But we have gotten some feedback such as like, why aren't your indoor events masked? And we were like, that's a really great point. They're all masked from now on. You know, like we really make an effort to listen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And like even from the event planning that I've done, I think you guys really set the bar quite high, to be honest, because you are always, even in the comments, like I see on your videos, describing the content, not your videos, but describing the content of your photos on Instagram for different audiences who maybe have different needs. So I guess it seems like you're really like experts at it in a way, even though you've just started. So what advice would you maybe give to folks that are wanting to engage with different communities or put on events in a similar manner? How can you make them inclusive, this big term?
I mean, I definitely wouldn't say we're experts because we're still learning.
Yes. Yeah.
But to start, you know, like the obvious of try and make sure your events are physically accessible, you know, like no stairs or a ramp. But on top of that, really just listen to your community and people who are telling you, because you know they don't have to do the work, but they're out there. You know, you can just Google. It's super easy, like articles of how to make your events accessible. It's all out there. You know, you just have to do the research. You have to listen to people.
Yes.
And just always be willing to learn and do better.
Yeah, I would say the same. Like Google learn
Google
step
it.
number one.
Yeah.
No, it's really great. We live in the era, in an age of information. Like it's
Yes.
at our fingertips, and that can be both a positive and a negative thing. But
Yeah.
I like to take that positively and just do my own research and try to learn as much as possible. But also keeping in mind like we can all possibly be experts on anything and everything, especially being a grassroots organization that like does not get a lot of funding. So
Yes.
we're all very
Yeah.
DIY, but even being DIY, it's like it's not hard to just learn things and then consult with community members and be willing to be mutable and to always change to improve. There are a lot of people within the queer community that I've met both physically and also just authors that I admire that talk a lot about this. Such as Leah Lagshmi Piebzna. I don't want to pronounce their second last name because I don't remember, but that is the really good one that I would recommend people look up and learn from because the information is out there. You just have to be willing to learn and stay flexible.
Yes, and I always like to say to audiences, yes, we live in the age of Google, but critically engage with what you see, bestie. Make sure it's not just your mom's Facebook. Go in there, make sure it's legit. But otherwise, yes, you can look it up if you really need to know.
Yeah. And I would say another way we stay accessible is we always try to like price our events as low as they possibly can be. And on top of that, we have a pay what you can option, which is also applicable to vendors at our markets. And when they can be, our events are free. So.
Well, that's huge because it's still not the standard for many different groups. But I do have to give you credit. Like you folks are so humble with how you're approaching it because you are new and learning and I understand. But the fact that you even like open up to feedback, like I said earlier, it makes it feel like people are in a safe space to give you that feedback because you're actively saying that you want it. And I feel like that's still a step that so many organizations are not as explicit with.
Yes, I was looking for an anonymous feedback form from a big organization a while back.
We're not going to say who.
No,
like, tell me
but
later.
I was not happy.
It wasn't there. Yeah, it's so simple. It can be simple.
Yes, making it simple and meeting people where they're at. And I think that's a lot of the core of what this group does. But if we're to think back, what are some of the moments that you're most proud of in kind of like this year of craziness?
A big moment for me that I was very proud of was our very first market, which was our first event that we held as Lavender Club. It was at the
Historic Fire Hall.
It was at the downtown historic fire hall in Calgary, and we didn't have any way of measuring how many people came, but it felt like hundreds. Like we had probably about 40 vendors for our first market. We held it in collaboration with Pansy Club, who was holding a clothing swap at the same time. But it was like a blow away moment, you know, like people know about us. We literally started this Instagram account 2 weeks ago.
Right?
Like what is happening right now?
Yeah.
But we didn't know what we were doing at all in regards to like holding a market, building community. I mean, Amanda knows about building community, but specifically this, you know? So it was very scary, and I personally was very stressed. But to see it like work out, I was like, okay, okay.
Yeah, we can do this. We've
Yeah.
got this. What about for you, Amanda?
I mean, I definitely have some experience in this, but I'd say like I was still very stressed. Still am very stressed whenever we do a lot of different things. I
I'm a
would
creature
say,
of anxiety.
yeah, I'm a creature of
Yes.
anxiety. But yeah, one of the big things that stands out for me is for sure as well that big like our first official event and how smooth it actually went. As well as I would say the Forbidden Love movie night. And Queer Care Day. Those are 3 different events that really stand out to me. And moments in which I've been like, oh, okay, we're doing okay. Like we're doing good.
I think more than okay, bestie. But like even when you're saying Queer Care Day, like the events that you're putting on are so different from what we associate traditionally with queer community, I think, with drag being as popular as it is now, like with RuPaul's Drag Race. Those things are in the mainstream, but we also need care. We also need community. And I'm so happy that you folks are doing that in Calgary.
We're trying.
You are, yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
try to be varied. We try to keep it fresh. Just that also
Keep
comes
it fresh.
Keep it
Yeah.
fresh.
Thank you.
Keep it fresh, but also don't fix it if it ain't broken. Like
Yeah.
we do listen to community feedback, and it's always the simple things. Like it's really the simple things that
Honestly, what people are looking for us the most, like we got a lot of people asking, being like, can you just do like a sober mixer? Like I just want to like
Yeah.
meet people, because I don't think I've ever seen one like out there for the queer community, like a
I would agree.
sober adult mixer. So
You guys should do
thinking
queer
about it.
prom or whatever. You know, rent the high
It's
school
crossed my mind.
gymnasium.
you know what? I don't know
Hit
if
me
this
with
is
it.
happening anymore, and if it's not, don't start it again because we'll do this.
Okay.
But when I was in my GSA in high school, I went to, I think it was something like that, like a queer prom.
Shut
It wasn't prom,
up.
but it was called the Homo Hop.
Are you joking?
And I met like my first like girl situationship there. They're not a
Ooh.
girl, but you know what I mean, like
Uh-huh,
a femme,
uh-huh.
like non-binary person. So like I gotta look that up. We gotta see what's up with that, because if it's not happening anymore, like Lavender Club will put
Okay.
it on. You heard it here
we'll
first.
do it.
High school romance, whatever. I'm just incredibly jealous hearing about it.
Yeah.
But I think you should. I really think you should. And then you should invite me, and I'll bring my girlfriend, and we'll all go.
Yeah, be open to all of Alberta.
Yes, everybody's gonna go and congregate at the high school. Was it Homo Hop?
The Homo Hop, and
Okay.
it was at
TM.
What is that high school in 17th Ave? That was at Western in Calgary. On
I'm not from
17th Ave.
Calgary,
Yeah.
so it means
It's the
nothing
big
to
one.
me. But
It's
thank
it's
you.
big, yeah. It's a big one, yeah. They
Thank
had like the
you.
dance floor, and it was pretty great. So.
Wow. Okay. The
Gotta
seeds
hit
have
some
been
GSAs
planted.
up.
I think you should. Okay. That's on the list as your next big event for Lavender Club. Because I was going to ask you the future of Lavender Club. We've talked about how it's grown and changed and become so many things we didn't expect. Perhaps now, do we have a vision of what you want to be talking about a year from now?
For me, I feel like at the moment we're most known for our markets, which I
Yes.
love doing, and like it's great because they're open to like the Two-Spirit LGBTQIA community at large. But I would love to also focus on more like intimate, Sapphic exclusive, just like events where you can more get to know people. Like we just had a craft night the other night. It was so much fun. So I would love to not just be known for our markets, but also like our smaller, more intimate, like kind of craftier events.
I would definitely agree with that. I also want to continue doing more intimate events, more because they're simpler to do.
Oh my
But
God, less
also
stress.
it's really
Yes.
all people want, and as well as continuing doing those events that get conversations started in our community, like the movie night with our elders. So like similarly, not to be an intellectual, but like like more
Let's
intellectually
go.
stimulating events that we
Yeah.
do have in the back burner that we're planning, conversations with community members, things of that nature. Because like why are we waiting for other people, for the general media to be doing that when we ourselves can do that as we're doing right now?
And I'm just getting a tingle. I feel like I should connect you with Lougheed House in
Yes.
Calgary because yeah. Okay, we'll pause that. That's not an episode conversation. But yes, I'm so excited for the future of Lavender Club. I know you folks are just going to continue to grow. And again, you're very humble, but recognize that you're doing important work. And I guess as like some fun questions to kind of tie her off today. What are maybe some, because we're making making these events for queer women or femme presenting or whatever individuals, what are some ways that this community and their needs are different from, say, the broader represented community of gay men? I know.
It's tricky
We're getting
because
into it.
at least in Calgary, a lot of places are more centered towards gay men, which they need their space, absolutely. But so do we, you know? And like we've gotten a little flack sometimes for using the word Sapphic just because some people don't see it as all encompassing. Like for me, for example, like I'm non-binary. I don't identify as a woman, but I'm still a lesbian. That's how I see myself. So I'm Sapphic. So it's very open, I would say, but people who are more femme need their space. Like they're already a marginalized group within a marginalized group, and then to add on possibly, you know, being a person of color or trans or non-binary, like you need a space that's safer away from men in general, no matter away from men. It doesn't matter what their sexuality is.
And it's true, like it's not to say that all men are terrible
No.
or anything like that. That's not at all what we're speaking to. But we have different needs, and sometimes you
Yes.
want different spaces, and that's not a crime. It can still be an inclusive event where I'm sure lots of men come to things with Lavender Club as
Yeah.
well, whether they're queer or not. But having a specific space born out of these intersections, there's clearly a need for it.
Yes.
Yeah, I absolutely. I was gonna make a funny joke about men, but I forgot it now.
I need it.
But no, like, I was gonna say, like, they have the boys' club, like, you know, hockey or whatever it is they do. I'm not entirely certain. Society. No, but, you know, and it's great. Like, a lot of them are allies, you know, in my personal life. Like, I have allies who are men, like, love that, great, but
It's a good
also,
look.
like, can't relate. So, you know, it's just about having, like, we create spaces where people feel comfortable, and I think the thing that really helped us be where we're at is the fact that we were seeing lesbians and seeing non-men and seeing Saphics and saying, like, hey, there's a space here for you. Like, this is for you. Which it largely has been. We have also done things that are for the community at large, like Two-Spirit LGBTQI plus people. But I think it all comes back to being a space for Saphics and lesbians and non-men to be in our company and create the things that we do, the magic that we do together.
Yeah. And on top of that, we're all Sapphic. We just wanted our own space.
Hey. I just had to have a little moment of dance. We're all Sapphic. I enjoyed it. The room is radiating with the energy right now. And how often does that happen? Bask in it. Well, my love, we talked about the future of Lavender Club. We've talked about some of the key memories and moments. Is there anything else that you'd maybe want to say to an audience across Canada about the work that you do or about being queer and Sapphic here in Alberta?
I think I love that you're looking at me right now.
And then just the speaker, if you can't tell.
Designated talker.
I did get a certain vibe.
We prepare for this. No. I think, and you can, you know, shake your heads or be like, no, if you don't think this is correct. But I think for the three of us, what we'd really want to say is it's really simple and it's really easy, and it all starts from a small idea, and ultimately it all comes back to being in community and seeing each other and doing something through that. So I think we would just want to remind people that you have a lot more power than you think, and especially when you come together to create something good and beautiful for each other. And it can be something really simple as going to the dollar store, getting some craft materials and saying, like, everybody come hang out, it's free. You know, or you'll get a jug of hot chocolate from whatever. Bleep that because I just said it's Canadian though. Anyways,
it's true. I just
get a jug of hot chocolate and from non-branded coffee shop and you know, just hang out. Like, it can be as simple as you're feeling down, you're feeling powerless in this world, like, find your people, go hang out and talk to each other and start something that will lift your spirits. And that's where it all begins.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Just do it.
I would say on top of that, we are open to consulting for people who want to do their own thing, because we're not it, you know, like,
Yes.
people out there can do everything. And we're especially open to consulting for any youths who want to create something that is more targeted towards them, but similar to us, you know?
That's so smart, consulting, because it's definitely a need out there where people want to do these events and make them inclusive and evolvingly inclusive, I think. That's a big thing as we talk about inclusivity. It's not like we said, a checkbox that you can just meet and be done with forever. It's something that you have to consistently work towards, and I'm glad to see that's what you folks really remember in what you do today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hopefully by the time this goes up, our website will be live.
Yay!
News, we're having a website. So you can
Soft
check us
launch.
out there. It's soft launch,
Wow,
lavenderclubyyc.com. And yeah, you can find out more about us there and hit us up.
We have a large fact week. I went kind of wild.
Yeah.
I like it. It's very queer, in depth, you know? But I guess that's perfect because I was just going to ask you, how can the people with our audience on Optik TV find you if they want to follow along, maybe go to a market or a craft night? We're focusing on craft nights and
Yes.
etc.
So I would say the biggest way is Instagram. We are Lavender Club YYC. We all use Instagram, so we post there the most.
Yeah.
But we will be updating our website once that is live, and keeping that updated. And for our bigger events, I typically market them on TikTok as well.
Yes.
And we sometimes use the Facebook.
What is our TikTok handle?
Also Lavender Club YYC.
I was going to say, that's the one I see
And-
the most because
yeah.
I'm active there.
And yeah, our website will be lavenderclubyyc.com, and you can find our email there, but I'll just say here as well, it's lavenderclubyyc@outlook.com. We're down to chat with whoever wants to chat with us and be nice. Like
Be
we're here
nice.
today with Kels.
It's true. They did grace me with their presence. I feel very lucky. Awesome. Well, I guess my last question for you is, what is your favorite thing about being queer in Alberta?
You go
Dun, dun,
first.
dun.
Both of us are like, I don't want to go first. I got to think about it.
Yeah,
Can I give you an
allowed.
idea?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I was just gonna say.
Can we just say your answer?
You can come over here if you want.
Okay, Jasmine. No, this is Jasmine's answer.
Yes.
My favorite thing about the queer community is that the power of queer people is so strong that it's so easy that when one event is heard, everyone will come to it and everyone just comes together, and it's so amazing to see like the power of queer people coming together.
Pause.
Jasmine.
Pause. If possible, can you come to the mic and say that? Because the way you delivered it,
Yes.
I loved.
The way
You
you
just say it
did
the way you just
Exactly what you
said.
just said. If you want to pop a squat.
No, that's okay.
Okay, no pressure, but it was a beautiful delivery.
Okay.
So.
Jasmine is camera shy, but I'll just say that her favorite thing about being queer in Alberta is the power that we have when we come together and when we do events, everybody shows up and really comes through. And it becomes like this great big thing because when one queer event occurs, everybody knows about it and all the queer people come for it.
And like I can verify that's almost word for word what Jasmine said. I was a little stressed that it wasn't gonna all get through, but I'm very impressed. Very good. I could never do that. And then for you, Bellamy.
Yeah, I think definitely just how much the community has love for each other. You know, there's so many queer people in Alberta, but also like we're still the minority, and there's so much hate out there that we really just like step up for one another when we can. So
It's true. I had in one of the first interviews for season 1, back in the Zoom days of all things, I had Kane, who you probably know actually, he performs in drag as Calgary in Calgary, moved from Toronto to Alberta and talked about how the queer community there in the big city can sometimes be kind of cliquey because there's so many more people. But here, we have to work that much harder to find each other and build that support. So exactly what you're saying. We come together and there's a lot of love. It's not perfect, but there's a lot of love.
yes.
And then Amanda, what's your favorite thing? Not just Jasmine's.
For me, my favorite thing is our variety and our resilience. I think people underestimate, even though we are the minority, I think people underestimate how varied and beautiful we are here in Alberta. Like they really think that it's in the other provinces or the other big cities where it's at, but here you'll find a little bit of everything. You'll find your person, you'll find your people. Like it really is possible. So that's my favorite thing about it. Like, yeah.
I mean, look at us filming here in Lethbridge.
Let's
you know?
Vegas. I mean, we ossified it and we made it look really good. You know, it's pretty sweet. Oh my goodness. But thank you so much for joining me today, all three of you. Another wave for Jasmine, our superstore in the corner. You can find Lavender Club YYC at all of those wonderful links that they listed. Go check out some of their events, and we will see you next time on Queer in Alberta.
We're dreamers.